It's your weekly breakaway for fun conversations on pro cycling. Come and join us for another ride in the team bus. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we'll do deep-ish dives on professional bike races, teams, riders, and all sorts of cycling-related stories. And we might just sprinkle in some other shiny pop cultural objects along the way. So jump in the saddle and tighten up those shoes. The road awaits. Ale!
Hello and welcome to the Team Bus. I'm Justin and this is my brother Matt. And today on the bus, we're talking UCI World Championships. First, we'll look at the super fun team time trial mixed relays, where 6 rider teams of 3 men and 3 women competed in a team time trial relay, a fascinating format where the 3 men go first and take their time when their second rider crosses the line. And then the women go afterward, starting with the time that the men finished with and taking the final time for the whole team when the second woman crosses the line. The reduced numbers of riders on each squad make for some tantalizing possibilities, and as we saw this year, some very exciting racing. Next, we'll turn our attention to the marquee events, the road races. We'll cover both the under-23 races and the elite races for the women and the men. Lotte Kopecky was not on hand to defend her elite women's title, and it probably wouldn't have mattered if she was, because every last one of the favorites got caught by surprise by a relative unknown who will now wear the rainbow bands for the next year. Will she continue on domestique duties? Time will tell. On the elite men's side, Tadej Pogačar was there to defend his title, and well, defend he did. A seeming rinse and repeat of his dominant long-distance solo effort last year in Zurich. Once again, we'll have to content ourselves with the witnesses to history role as cycling fans, because unfortunately, Pog keeps putting us in the role of watchers of boring races. And finally, today, as always, we'll finish out one last climb of the Côte de Kigali in the Broom Wagon. Ale. Welcome to the show. We are going to be talking UCI World Championships from Kigali, Rwanda this week. I figure we'll start with the team time trial. This was super exciting. I thought it was a really fun format that I honestly didn't realize was the format. So, like, I guess that over the last couple of years, I haven't been really focused on the whole event of the UCI World Championships like I was this year. This was really cool. I was really intrigued by how it worked. And in the end, like, I honestly feel like I was more entertained by all the time trials in the World Championships than I was in the road races this year. But, you know, I'm sure we'll get to it. What did you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on your overall assessment there. Yeah, a little backstory on this portion of the World Championships and this event. For a number of years, as I understand it, this event they just did a team time trial with the trade teams. So kind of weird, since everything is country based at the World Championships, but for some reason they decided, we want to have a team time trial, but it's not feasible to do it with riders from a bunch of different trade teams. I don't know. Clearly it is.
Well,
so they would do it with trade teams. So it's been like 5 or 6 years now that they've tried this new format, and I, for one, love it. I think it's super fun that it's men and women on the same team. There's very, very few things that you get to see where it's men and women competing on the same field of play throughout the world of sports. This is one of them, and I love it that cycling is a part of that, part of that narrative for men's and women's sports. And yeah, it provides a fun race, because in a regular team time trial, you got 6 riders, 7 riders, 8 riders going out together. And so it's a sort of different strategy, because you can sort of shed them one by one by one. And, I mean, sometimes in TTTs, we see more than the minimum number finishing. The team can be so strong that, they bring 5 across when 4 is the number where, the fourth rider is the number where they take the time. Here, you're only going out with 3 riders. So you got 1 that can drop. And then once that 1 is dropped, then the other 2 have no choice but to go as fast as the slower rider can go, basically. And it just makes it really interesting. You know what I mean? Watching the frustration on the clearly stronger rider's face as he or she sort of tries to babysit the other one, up the Kimihurara, and into the finishing straight. It's just
in these
it's really cool.
The teams are limited by the riders they have available to them. So you have to look at the roster and say, okay, what 3 riders are gonna do the best for us in this situation, which, is kind of an interesting situation when you have much stronger riders than other riders, but you still, that third rider, you don't have a choice because he may be a mile away conditionally from the top rider, but you still need him. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, that's the guy. And so it levels the playing field in this very unique way, and provides fireworks, as we saw in the race, as far as what can and can't happen. Plus, in some cases you have a women's side that's actually stronger than the men's side. Mm-hmm. And, having both is really the key, is having, if you can put both of those pieces together, then you're going to compete.
Yeah, I mean, it's an event that is like kind of replete with X factor all over it. I mean, there's just all kinds of unknowns and weird variables that can be controlled for much better in your trade team setting, when it's, when that's your day in, day out. This is such a one-off that it kind of, it makes things very unpredictable. And yet at the same time, when we look at how the podium played out in this race, kind of predictable. You know what I mean? And in fact, would have been, I'll wager, even more predictable had Marlon Roysa not, who was arguably the single strongest time trialer comparatively in this event. Had she not had a mechanical, of course, she literally is the person who won the ITT 5 days ago or 5 days before this. And she's the one that gets the mechanical of all of the, hundreds of people that are participating in this event. Like, I didn't see any mechanicals except for one, and it was the top seed. So, and that absolutely 100% changed the outcome of the race, because we saw the podium separated by 5 seconds and 5 seconds. So just by way of a little bit of recap, your winner was became the defending champion, Australia. Team comprised of Amanda Spratt, Brody Chapman, and Felicity Wilson for the women, and Michael Matthews, Jay Vine, Luke Platt for the men. Now, looking at that looks like a pretty strong.
It's a very strong team. I mean,
team
on
Vine,
both
Platt,
sides
Chapman,
of the coin. Those are very strong riders.
Yeah, all super strong.
And then you had 2 Australian champions on that team already, right?
No. What? No.
Or is Durbridge the? It's not Platt.
Oh, like Australian champions, not world champions. No. Yeah. I'm not.
I thought Platt was the men's world champion, or the men's Australian champion. I may be wrong. I think it might be Luke Durbridge now I'm thinking about it.
I think you're right. So in second was France. That team was comprised of Juliette Lebeau, Cedrine Carabal, Mavis Squeebon, and then Bruno Amarai, Paul Sexas, and Pavel Sivakov. Another super strong team.
Especially on the women's side of that coin. That's a strong 3 riders from France.
Absolutely. And then third was Switzerland, that had Roysa, Yasmin Lichty, Noemi Rug for the women, and Jan Christian, Stefan Kung, and Mauro Schmid for the men. And I think 100% Switzerland wins this if Royce doesn't have the mechanical, because they were 10 seconds off of the win, and it took her what, 3, 4, 5 minutes to get back on. And then immediately, uh, uh, I think it was Lechty dropped, and it was her and Rug trying to power their way into the finish. And like, without that mechanical, her and Rug are up that climb 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
And you have to imagine that the get back on this course, is brutal, because we saw, the frustration in the men's elite race with mechanicals and getting back on, and it really does, take the piss out of these guys, because, this is a really, really, really tough world championship course, both in the time trial and on the road race. It is not for the faint of heart at all. And so the effort that she would have had to put in to get back on is, she had to be gassed by the time she got there. And then to be one of the two riders that has to push through to the end.
Right.
It's brutal. I mean, it's a huge monumental ask. And the fact that they came in, within 20 seconds is friggin' ridiculous, considering all the effort she had to put out.
So let me posit this hypothetical to you. What is your thought on this? Did they make a mistake, given the fact that it was Marlen Reusser, the current world champion of time trialing, that mechanical? Did they make a mistake in not just like, we're stopping right now, we're waiting, and so instead of making her get back on her own, we just stop right now? We know that she's going to be the fastest of the three of us, regardless of whether we stop and wait or whether we go and make her catch up with us. She's still going to be the strongest of the three. Do we stop and pull her back?
So what I can't remember is, how long did it take for her to get the bike?
I think she was on the bike fairly quickly, 15 seconds, something like that, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then it was a couple minutes for her to get back on.
It's a tough call, because
with 10 seconds, with a 10-second gap to first place from first to third,
you could conceivably create a better scenario, because she has to do less work, which means that by the time
you just said she had to have been spent by the time she got back on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you likely give her a little bit more juice. Is it enough to make up the deficit to win? I don't know. I mean, because it's what, almost 20 seconds for them to the win, right?
No, 10 seconds. So Australia beat France by 5 seconds, and France
it was 5 and 5. I was thinking it was 10 and 10.
It was 5 and 5.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call.
It's a good question. It's a good debate.
It is a good debate.
I'll be asking my cycling friends that one as well. I wanted to point out a couple of things. Number one, the effort that Mavis Squibon did up the final Kimi Harara to stay on Juliette Lebou's wheel was just epic. I mean, you could just see her suffering, and Lebou kind of glancing back at her. I mean, Lebou was heads and shoulders better than her, but made a huge difference that Squibon that went to those depths of misery to hang on there, because 5 seconds was all that they were ahead of that Swiss team. So very impressive. But the thing that I absolutely loved most about this entire race was watching the Australian men waiting by the finish line. It was so sweet, beautiful, awesome. I just loved it. They were just on the edge of their seats. I always love a situation where a rider is out on the race at the finish line, I always think back to Wout van Aert just cheering Jonas on at that Tour de France time trial. And it's just so great, and they're out there on the course, cheering
Well,
her
and
on.
it's a unique situation because obviously you only have one rider coming in at a time. So I mean, like you can go
Right.
out there, you're not going to be blocking things up.
Yeah, you'll never see that on a road race, unless it's a weird thing where, somebody who's already finished is
Right.
cheering on our teammate who, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I guess you had that on that crazy. Remember the Fabio Jakobsen trying to stay within the time gap at the Tour de France. They
Yes. Yes.
they did an entire episode of Tour de France Unchained on. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure some people from the team were out there cheering him on, but um,
By
but
that point, the UCI officials had already gone home.
yeah. It was great. Just the looks on their faces. You had a Bling out there and Jay Vine and
And
the other
Platt,
one.
Lukey
Oh
Platt.
yeah, Lynn and Plappy, and it was just great. And the three of them had like an incredible hug together, where you could see like Bling's smiling face in between the two of them. And then
Well,
like when the riders came in,
and it seems like all the Aussies have a really good affinity for each other. Like they have a lot of, they definitely have a lot of national pride for them, for their country, and I don't know. It seems like all the Aussies always all love each other, and it's just fun to see. It's like the Canadian.
mhm.
It's like the Canadians. The Canadians all really, you know, go in, on each other, and it's um
Well, it's because those countries, they are definitely sort of second tier when it comes to sort of nation status,
mhm.
national representation in the pros, and so they kind of have somewhat of an underdog mentality. We really got to stick together, sort of thing, and it's awesome. I mean,
Yeah, it
it's
really
so
is.
great. I want to see the selfie that Bling took. Like when they were up on the podium and he jumped off the podium and like put the camera on the ground and was like taking a selfie with all of them behind. Like, yeah, it was it was super cool. One final thing that I wanted to say about it, really, really sucked that there was like no USA in this
Yeah,
race, and no UK either.
it was interesting in both cases, like what races, you know, teams chose to ride versus what they didn't ride. Um, I think we made the comment that Great Britain wasn't involved in the time trial. You
Hmm.
know, last week, and they come out and they win the under 23 time trial with Zoe Backstrat. So I don't know, like
Hmm.
I don't know. It's
I
weird.
guess, I mean, if you're in one sense, like, I mean, maybe it could just be complete practicality, saying like we don't have anybody that's even going to be able to challenge in that race, and
Yeah,
we do not want to spend the resources for 22nd place.
yeah, it's probably
Just
true.
it's not worth it to us. If we're not going to even have any way to be competitive at all, then why bother? I guess I get that.
Hmm.
Um, it sort of makes sense, but just kind of seems weird, you
Uh,
know.
I would also say that wouldn't it be an interesting way to do a Grand Tour team time trial as like split fours?
What do you mean? Like the
Like,
teams gotta they
yeah,
have to
you got to,
split their teams up
yeah, you
and
do,
then use that format?
yeah, you go four up and then four, and then four, not four up
Hmm.
and four back, but you know,
Well,
send
why not
four.
three? Why not three and three? I mean, the only danger is if you do it if you do it midway through the race, there's a possibility, that teams
Oh
have
yeah,
lost
that's
several
well.
riders.
Ooh,
You have to do it like an opening
it'd be a
thing.
perfect prologue.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be a
It'd be a
cool prologue.
it'd be a very cool prologue.
Except who takes the jersey? I mean, the whole point of a prologue time
Yeah, it's
trial
the
is to put
set up
somebody in the jersey.
set up the GC. Well, whoever, I mean, you
Um,
do it the same way you would do it with a prologue or with a stage one team time trial. I'm pretty sure that the Vuelta did that 2 years ago.
well, no, but the trouble is you're going to have a part of the team going off second. You know what I mean? And so, like, the guys who go in the second group cannot they can't be the yellow jersey. You know what I mean? Like it'll have to be the first guy of the first group.
Well, unless you go off of which group had the better time. It's a combined time, but they have an individual time.
Yeah.
So whichever one of your 4-man group crosses the finish line with the fastest time, whoever the first rider is there takes your jersey. I mean, you can figure
I don't
that
know.
out.
That gets a little.
It would be interesting. I don't care.
Slippery, but I would love. It'd be cool if there was a way that they could shoehorn that format into a bigger race or something. That'd be cool. Nice. So anything else on?
No, that's really all I got
TTT? On that. Okay. Where shall we go next? The women's U23.
Yeah, we could do that. So real quick, because I assume, did you watch the time trials at all? Because I did watch the highlights of the time trials.
The junior ones?
The under 23 time trials.
No, but let's save that for Team Bus.
Okay, we can do that.
I mean, for Beyond.
So then that'll take us to the under 23 women's road race on Thursday, won by Celia Geret of France. This race was very interesting. Marion Brunel just ripped this race to shreds, towards the end, and I definitely thought that it was her race to lose. I did not expect.
It was quite surprising to see her setting up her teammate like that. But I mean, you literally skipped to the last kilometer of the race just now. A little bit of recap. I mean, there was not a whole lot going on in this race in the beginning. The whole first 80% of the thing was just the peloton going really, really, really fast, and everybody just seemed very, very hesitant to attack. Now, the high speed did have people going out the back on a fairly regular basis, and by 60 kilometers to go, it was down to maybe 30 to 40 of the top riders. Some of the animators of the race were Victoria Chladonova of Slovakia, who at 46 kilometers to go was on the deck from a touch of wheels, but she got back into it and was all over this race. I mean, her name was all over there throughout the finish. You also saw eventual third place Paula Blasi of Spain putting in attacks, and Holmgren of Canada, who was one of the pre-race favorites, out there as well. 21 Ks to go. Chladnova still attacking, and she makes the move that pulls in Celia Geret, Imogen Wolf, and Paula Blasi. That was pretty much your final group. You also had what was that girl's name? Malwena Mol of Poland was kind of in there, and you had Marion Bunel, Appleton of Australia, Chabacco of Italy, all in there. And then let's see, Stina Kagevi of Sweden puts in a huge attack with 11 kilometers to go. She gets her advantage up to 51 seconds, and you're starting to think could this woman take this all the way? Because it's every time you're watching and you see that gap just growing and growing and growing as in inverse proportion to the number of kilometers left, you're really wow. But you still had the Kota Kimi Harara looming in the background, and who goes out there and catches Kagevi? Chladnova once again. And you've got Geret, Holmgren, Blasi, Chladnova, Kagevi, Bunel catches them, and basically comes down to a 2-on-1 with France, with Geret and Marion Bunel against Chladnova. And as you said, Marion Bunel just lights it up.
Just like a rocket.
The Chimihurara, yeah, it just goes and goes and goes. She basically leads like the entire climb. Um, and, Chladnova's there trying to hang on. Um, they slow up just a bit at the top. Bunel swings off, and then boom, as soon as they hit the red kite, perfect team tactics. She is attacking again. Um, and that's that top of the top of the climb section where it's still going uphill. It kind of goes uphill through the 1K to go, goes down a little bit, and then it's like uphill almost all the way to the finish.
Right.
Um, and yeah, Bunel just basically attacks with 1K to go and just empties the tank for the next 700 meters. Gets them down to about 300 meters to go, drops off, and it's that long, draggy uphill sprint. And Jiri is playing it perfectly because, like, Schladnova had no choice but to be on Bunel's wheel as she made that attack, and Cherie just got to sit there and get a nice little armchair ride. Comes around, kind of wins it easily. Um, and then I don't know if you noticed, but what's her name, Carla Blasi, pipped Bunel on the line, slid into third
Yes.
place, which would have been cool to see Bunel get third place after the effort she put in.
Especially after the effort.
And did you see? And speaking of the effort, did you see her like immediately after the race? Like her teammate has just won. She pulls in right next to her teammate who has just won the world championship, and she can't even she collapses on top of her bike, like she's leaning against the.
So I'm glad that you said that because it made me think. One of the things that I noticed, especially early in the week when I was watching highlights of the juniors and I was watching the under 23 and even into the men's race, a little less so with the elites, like this course was destroying riders. I mean, it was annihilating them. Like I couldn't. I mean, I would have to think that I saw more than 20 or 30 riders that crossed that finish line this week just crumble the moment they came across the line.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and just utter exhaustion. Just on the, it's like on the ground, sitting on a fence, just dumping water on themselves, just completely, gutted at the end of the end of this course.
Well,
So it just had to be brutal.
there's five factors you have to consider here. Number one, it's a world championships, so it's considerably longer than most other races. I mean, the men's race was 270 kilometers long or something crazy. So you got that. Then you've got a ton of climbing, just actual, elevation gain, right? All by itself, ton of climbing. Um, then you've got the fact that the finish line is comes right after two insane climbs, and then you also have to factor in the air quality and the heat going on, the environmental factors there, and the altitude. And then finally, the one that's really kind of hard to explain to someone that doesn't ride a bike or whatever, the fact that that final climb is up cobblestones, it's brutal. Climbing on cobblestones is just a new kind of hell. Um, and they're doing multiple circuits on this thing, and their bodies just must be at the absolute just empty. You know what I mean? So it's no wonder that we were seeing so many riders like that. I mean, Bunel was just collapsed against the barrier and motionless, just still sitting on her bike and unable to move for like a minute before she could even like sit up and put her arms around her teammate who just became the world champion thanks to her. I mean, it was pretty wild. Um, but yeah, a great race, and I was psyched for Marion Bunel because she rides for our favorite team and was quite an animator.
So that'll take us to the men's, where Lorenzo Mark Finn of Italy became the other rider to take two back-to-back world championships this year.
Although he did it, he did it in two different classifications. So he was the junior winner last year, and he became the under 23 winner this year. And it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that this guy was going to win, it seems like. I mean, he was basically on the front of the race for almost the entire thing. I mean, at least, once they got to the pointy end of the race. And yeah, you had you had Belgium kind of making their intentions plain in this race from early on, that they were in it to win it. But by 60K to go, you had an elite group of around 12 forming with Finn in there, Schredel of Austria, Alvarez of Spain, who also rides for Lidl Trek. And somehow, some way, there was only one Belgian dude left at this point, even though they were so committed to the win. Alvarez, Finn, Alessandro Borgo of Italy in the mix through like 50Ks to go, and by 32 kilometers, Finn was clear. A couple of seconds on this guy Huber from Switzerland. They're now a two-man break, 32 kilometers to go, and they're working super well together. And Finn just basically rides with them very wisely, just doesn't uses as little energy as possible, gets to about 6.6 Ks to go. Final ascent of the penultimate climb, the Côte de Kigali Gulf, and drops Huber, and Huber's never getting back on at this point. Finn sits up, flashes the 1-2 over the finish line. The man's got a very, very bright future in front of him.
He rides
Switzerland
for Red
gets
Bull.
bronze.
He rides for Red Bull rookies, so you're going to see yet another soon-to-be superstar on that team.
Yep. And that's, as we know, where old Remco Evenepoel is headed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the Huber guy hangs on for silver for Switzerland, and then bronze goes to Marco Schrettel of Austria.
One thing that I did want to mention about the road races that I absolutely loved, whoever on the production team, all right, decided to put that camera right at that rise so that when they come over that last little bit of a climb, like at the end of the race, like right before they get to the gantry, every rider that you saw, like that head-on shot coming over, give that guy a raise. Whoever was like, we need to put a camera right here. It's like, it was like road level, so that like you could almost see the heat coming off the road, and they would crest over. Oh my God, what a great shot.
Well, and you get the sort of like elevator effect as they're coming up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like they don't seem to be coming towards you. They seem to be rising.
Yes.
I'll
obviously we're going to talk more about Tade's win, but when Tade got to that point, he had a whole shitload of like cars and bikes behind him. They held them up so that when he crested that rise, he was by himself. Like, so that nobody else was like in that shot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. That is often like when you have a finish that's like that head-on shot is such a good one. The one I always think about is when, I want to say it was an Alaphilippe win in the Tour de France. It might have been like on the opening stage when he got the yellow jersey in that year, when he was just like on fire. I think he may have even been like in the World Champions jersey, and then it was exactly that. But in that one, and it's a pretty iconic one, they use it every couple of years, that finish. What's great about that front on shot in that one is you see nothing but sky behind it.
It's cool.
Which is really cool. So you just get the rider with blue sky behind him, which is just epic. I couldn't agree more. I've really just been loving all of the environs from this race.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, and just such a fun change of pace.
It's
the city
like
itself,
lush and green, and like everywhere you went, everything is like just teeming with life.
Teeming with life. The city itself, the architecture looked really cool. Like that looks like that would be a fun city to spend a weekend. Just just hanging out and doing stuff. And then also just the fact that like you're seeing just like a sea of black faces going ape shit for a bike race is just like something that you do not get to see too often.
It was great. The
Unless you
crowds were
watch the Tour of
amazing.
Rwanda every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially, good Lord, the crowds on the men's road race, the elite road race was absolutely nuts. But we'll get to that. But I'd say all in all, some decent racing at the U23 level for the road races.
Absolutely, and a lot of bright futures to keep an eye on.
For sure, for sure. I'm glad that we are, because we're doing this podcast now, really forcing ourselves to, dig deeper into some of these races and these categories, so that we're setting ourselves up for some excitement in the
Yeah,
future with
exactly.
some of these names that we hitherto would not have been aware of.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll be right back to talk about the elite races.
Don't miss Beyond the Slipstream, our weekly companion podcast to the Team Bus, our domestique, if you will, dropping every Saturday in your usual podcast feed.
All right, welcome back. We're going to get into some more UCI World Championships with the elite races. Where do you want to start? Would you prefer to start with the men's or the women's?
Let's start with the men's.
Okay. I'm
actually, because I think the women's was a bit more exciting. Before we get rolling on this conversation, I just want to comment that it's really annoying how we have like no coverage of this race available to us unless we're paying that $280 or whatever it is for flow bikes.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like there's just like no place to watch this. And YouTube it was very cool that on YouTube, for everything except for the two elite races, they had beautiful commercial free replays like of the full race.
Yes.
Just right there available to watch. And then I get to the women's and I'm trying to pull it up and I'm looking all around and I'm like, oh, I see. They're not putting that on YouTube.
They did today.
Today?
Yeah.
I thought I was looking at it today. And all right, well.
Yeah. No. It like just because it just popped up because I do subscribe to Flow Bikes, and it's them who posted it.
Yeah. Well, it's
annoying.
A bummer.
Yeah.
It's a bummer that like watching this race is not like a live day of kind of a thing. Now, granted, I had other stuff going on yesterday that would have prohibited me from watching it live anyways, but it's just really, really annoying that like
it shouldn't.
The way this stuff is.
This race of all races should not be behind a paywall, as far as I'm concerned. There should be a free option.
Absolutely.
Like it's the World Championships, you know, because we shouldn't be punished because we live in a first world country to be able to just watch this without having to spend an exorbitant amount of money to a streaming service that is not, doesn't have all the races. They've got a couple of key races, that's for sure. They've got Tour of Flanders, they got all those Flanders classics, but they don't have any of the Grand Tours. They don't, you know what I mean? So it's like, why?
The amount of money that they're asking for it is outrageous compared to what, it gives you. And the only reason it's that high is because they know that there's no other option out there. And so for some percentage of the, people, that will be worth it to them to spend that money so that they can see that thing because it's important to them. And it's just lame. I'm not spending that kind of money. And I'll tell you what, that's why I have absolutely zero problem getting on the pirate site and watching bike races there because corporate greed is what stands between me and my love of this sport. And it's really, really annoying. Rant over. We had an insanely long race of 267 something kilometers. It must have been, I think it was like 15 laps of the course plus the Kigali and the other one,
like the side swipe right in the middle.
So not a whole lot going on in the early stages of the race. Notably at 222 kilometers ago, there was a kind of a significant crash that took out, I think, Soler and Van Wilder. There was also, I put in my notes a little link there if you felt like watching it. A really cool moment at around 225 kilometers ago when Eric Manazabayo of Rwanda did an attack off the front of the peloton. They were kind of chasing down a short break, gave the hometown crowd something to like go nuts for, and the crowds were ridiculous
There's so
on,
many
on this
people.
thing. I mean, there were some shots that I was noticing when I was kind of watching the replays and stuff where there'd be like, six deep all along the side of the road, but then you look back and like there's like a little hill that rises and there's like four deep on that hill, but then there was like also this kind of cliff back behind it, and then just like too deep across the top of that cliff. I mean, anywhere a person could stand, there was just people
Yes.
standing and cheering. It was really really epic, and considerably more than on the Women's Day. Unfortunately, there were still great crowds for the women, but like for the men's, it was like packed. Like everybody in the country came out on the Sunday. Maybe that's just a factor of it being on a Sunday as well. So,
It's very possible.
but really really cool. The man is a bio guy attacked. He actually put in two little attacks. Um, and then the other thing I thought was notable in the beginning was, or in the like first half of the race, basically was apparently, and I didn't even see any of these. I heard these being talked about on the podcast. Um, there were two different instances where one with Remco and one with Pog, where like they stopped to like go to the bathroom and like the cameras like followed them going to the porta potty and opening the door. It's just kind of funny. I will have to go back and look that up just because I just find it funny. I was gonna mention earlier when we were first raging about the lack of coverage or whatever. Um, my sort of prep for both of these segments has basically been like watching recaps, listening to all of my podcasts do their episode on it, and then going back and cobbling together show notes by having all of this stuff. I just try to put it all into my head,
Yeah.
coming from rather than being able to sit there and actually watch the race like I'd like to do and crank out all the notes myself, because I'm fully capable of coming up with a whole lot of notes watching a bike race. But when I don't have the actual time or the ability to sit there for those 2 hours and watch it and enjoy it and crank out my notes and let them come out, it's like
Oh,
I got it.
I definitely spent about 4.5 hours with this race yesterday. I got up at I wasn't feeling really well, and I ended up waking up at like 10 after 5 or something like that.
What was
And
the actual start time for our, like, for where we live?
before 5 a.m.
It was really really
Yeah,
early
it was
like that.
very
Okay.
early. So I woke up at like 10 after 5. I took the dogs out, and then I came up, and well, when I woke up, like I said, I wasn't feeling great, and I pulled out my phone and just went to PCS real quick just to see if the race had started, and I feel like they were 20-ish Ks in at that point or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up taking the dogs out, and they came up and got one of the. It took a while to get a good feed going, but once I got a good feed going, I ended up just locking in for pretty much the rest of the race. Obviously the win aside, the thing that I feel like was the story of the day is Remco. And I don't know, like, I don't know if it really makes a difference in the end, but I mean, I in my opinion,
I don't think so.
but I think that he would have been much closer on time.
100%. For
And
sure. Couldn't not have been.
the frustration that he obviously went through was palpable. So obviously he needs a bike change, and he gets it from the neutral service. And
Yeah, and he was indicating his seat, and he was making
yes,
a motion. He was pointing to his seat and making a motion like this. And as we learned after the race, his seat post was dropping.
yes,
just funny. That's a problem that I've been dealing with one of my daughter's bikes for 3 rides now, and I finally just got it finished by actually taking a soft mallet and just like hammering the thing closed so it will not drop. Anyways, go ahead.
So he indicates the seat, gets the bike change. Then there's obviously something wrong with the handlebars on the second bike. You know, whether it's off by a millimeter, because at one point he is banging the post. I mean, he is just like bah, 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 hitting that post while he's riding. Like he's like full on locked in, and he's taking his right hand and just slamming it onto that center nut.
Do you know what the issue was?
I feel like it must have been just too high.
I think you're misinterpreting it. I think he was banging his hand in frustration. He was mad and he was banging his hand. The reason that he gave after the race was that the bike did not fit him. And he, because of the different geometry that he was dealing with, his legs were cramping up, because you see him also like going to his leg, like, and I think he was just like blowing up mentally at that moment. He's like, God damn these legs, because his legs were all fucking hurting because the bike was all different. He's banging his thing like, ugh, and ultimately gets back on the gold bike.
Well, and waves off the neutral service on the second time, and is like, I'm gonna wait for my bike.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And did you catch what he did while he was waiting?
Where he was kicking rocks?
A soccer kick,
dude.
He's got a good kick, man.
Have you seen the memes? No. Oh my god, dude! There's some great memes where they literally like take him with his foot extended, and then I saw one where they like reversed it into a soccer kick, like where they like literally put him into a soccer, and superimposed it on a soccer shot.
Oh, I want to see these.
Oh man, it's great. But yeah, I mean, you feel for the guy. Like you can't help but feel for him, because
you gotta love him. He's gonna put on a show one way or the other, man. He does not mind having a giant temper tantrum in front of the whole world. Like, he's pissed, and
when you get to the end, like, talk about the juxtaposition of the 3 podium riders and when they come across the line. So, Pog obviously comes across, and it's all, it's very, very Pog. He does the cycling Jesus pose, coming across the line. And then Remco comes across the line, and this dude is so visibly pissed off.
Oh, he's furious. he's just
so mad.
He wanted to be banging on the bars again.
Yeah, he's so mad when he comes across.
He gave us like a hand.
Yeah. It was the most cursory. And then you get to Ben Healy with the biggest smile.
He's like thrilled
ever. You know what I mean? Because he's the first rider since Sir Sean Kelly, to podium. To podium. First Irishman to podium since Sir Sean Kelly. 20 when he was racing against Greg LeMond. I mean, it's so long ago. So, the 3 of...
Let's go back to Remco. I mean, your point was like the most significant thing to talk about in the race is Remco.
This is true.
And we stopped when we got to the good part.
Yeah, sorry.
We've been through all of Remco's frustrations, and now Remco is back on a bike, and he's comfortable, and he's mad.
Oh, he's flying.
Remco blasts past everyone, and we're talking about some of the top
he catches that
in
group.
The world.
He caught that group, the group that he eventually leaves. He catches that chase group so fast. When they said, I figured he's whatever, he's way off at this point, so he may not even come back to factor in this race.
Rewind back to before he had the bike troubles. He was getting dropped because Pog makes his move just over 100 Ks to go.
Yes.
Remco's first bike change was at 89.5 Ks to go, and the next one was significantly after that, so 76 Ks to go. So back when Pog was making his move, Remco looked like he was getting dropped. Like it was like this is not going to be his day because if you recall, you saw all the other animators today just like blowing past him to keep up with Pogačar, Ayuso, Del Toro, Skelmos, Sexass, Hindley. They all blew right past him.
I think he
And
was
you're,
having
you're
bike
like,
trouble all the way back at that point, though.
he must have been. He
I
must
really
have been
do.
dealing with the seat back then or something like that. Because yeah, it is 10, it's 10, 12, 15 Ks after that he is getting his first bike change. So not unreasonable to think that maybe he was like, okay, the seat's a problem here. I don't know. Because if he didn't have it on the climb then, he sure did have it on the at the end. Of
Yeah.
course, that's a guy he's won LBL. He knows how to save strength
Well,
to be
and
strong
as
at a climbing
brutal as
finish
this
like
course is, saving, energy conservation has to be a key in this. I mean, unless your name is Tadej Pogacar. But, because you saw huge riders. I mean, Juan Ayuso might as
that.
well
Yeah,
have been a nuclear bomb. He exploded so much. You know, it's very interesting. But again, it you have to wonder if he's not having bike problems, is he in the mix with Pog towards the end? Because I feel like he would have been. You know what I mean? I know he ends up being a minute and a half down on Pog, but I think that he would have hung in there longer, and I definitely think that he would have matched the move of Pogacar had he not been having the issues on the bike.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I think I disagree. I mean, if this race plays out with like the final 30 kilometers being Remco and Pog by themselves in front of everybody else, like with no possibility of anybody else getting back on, I think with all the climbing, I think, and especially on the final climb, I think Pog incinerates them. I don't know, maybe
but
not.
again, this goes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier in the show: is does all of the extra effort needed to get back even to second place, what does that do to the overall? All right, because I mean,
Yep.
he definitely put in a massive effort for second place.
Right, but then you also have to put in the adrenaline anger factor, and is that well, how much does that count for in terms of being able to,
This is true.
push through pain and fatigue and stuff like that. I mean, it was quite an effort from Remco. There was a few other moments that I enjoyed or would like to point out. I mean, number
Sure.
one, like I think until the end when we got the finish that we got, um, when we got the Remco effort that we got, the other big name in this thing was Del Toro. I thought it was. I mean, he was the one that remained with Pog longest.
He's also
Um,
been getting he's taking some shit today, which I think is completely undeserved in my opinion.
for what? For how he raced?
Some people are being critical, saying that he helped Pog win, and
Oh,
it's
because they're
like
on the trade team
I
together.
just didn't see it that way.
No,
Watching it completely unfold, I mean,
that's trolling.
I think that at one point Pog did make a slight move to try to keep him with him, where Pog could have just gassed him right out of existence, but he like let him hang on for like, and it wasn't for much longer after that, but he did kind of like, Pog kind of like peeled off to the left and let him kind of catch up, and then they went back to taking turns on
Well,
one of the smaller climbs.
there
And
was an exchange between them,
yes,
where they spoke, and Pog said after the race that Del Toro told him that he wasn't feeling well.
yeah. So, well, that comes right at the when he ends up dropping him, like right before they have like a little exchange. They ride a little bit together, and then he goes. But there was one point where it did seem like Pog was like, okay, let's go. Because I don't think Pog's stupid. I think he knows how hard this race is, and having that second body is going to benefit him all the way to the end.
For
But
sure.
at the end of the day, Pogacar is the only one that I feel like I watched cross that line that wasn't completely just destroyed. And
Yeah.
I think he's on another level. I just do. I just think that Pogacar is on a completely
100,
different plane of existence
100%.
to everybody
100%.
else.
100%. Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, but Del Toro, at the age that he's at, he seems very Pog like. Like
Hmm.
I don't know of the young crop. I kind of see him as the one that could potentially take the throne next. Um, who has the most realistic shot at it. Um, I don't know.
I
Uh,
agree. I agree with you I agree with you right now because looking at Ayuso, unless unless there's a significant change, with him going to a different team and getting all of the resources behind him, unless I don't know, I just don't see him with as much of an upside as as Del Toro at this point. I think Del Toro is is more of a Pog style racer, and I think that if your prototype racer for the future is going to be someone that's like Pagachar, then you are definitely looking at Del Toro before you look at Ayuso.
yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of both of them, I absolutely adored the moment when Ayuso was putting it to Pog when the two of them were out in front,
Hmm.
and Ayuso was just like flying through those downhills, and uh, it just um, it's it's fun now that it was fun now that there's no question. Ayuso's gone. He's gone to Trek.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
They
the
don't.
bygones are bygones.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
nah, we're freaking racing. Like I'm not helping you. Like we're on different teams right now in this race, and um, and then as far as like Pog and Del Toro, I mean, the other thing with Pog, I mean, he would have been well within his rights, trade team politics aside, to try to get Del Toro to work with him because Pog's not afraid to go into even a 2-up sprint against Del Toro at the end
Yes,
of
that's
at
what
the
I'm
end of
saying.
200.
It could only
Well,
benefit him to work with Del Toro.
right, right. The other thing I wanted to say, I meant to say earlier, actually, when we were talking about Remco, is like, I have no problem with how angry he gets and how demonstrative he is of the histrionics. Um, you know, I like to see that because to me that says like this is a guy who cares about, you know, racing, who is fired up, who is out there to win every time he gets on the bike.
Absolutely.
And just imagine Joao Almeida in that situation. You
Slamming
know what I'm
his
saying?
handlebars and
Yeah, like
kicking,
would not have
kicking
happened.
stuff on the side of the road.
Never. He would like get off his bike and casually stand there. He'd probably fold his hands in front of each other as he waited for his team car to get up there and said, "Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing this bike to me. Now let me get on and make my way up this hill." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Can we
you
also
gotta love Remco for that.
can we also talk about one of the things that I'm looking forward to with Juan Uso next year is, bro, he's got the best English of a foreigner in the pro peloton.
For sure,
I
for
mean,
sure. Well, he spent
his
a lot of time
English
in I
is
think he lived in California for like
his
5 or 6
English is just
years.
impeccable.
Teenage years. Yeah, no, he's good. I did clock. This was very interesting. Do you know what kilometer mark they were at when Pog dropped? When Pog dropped Del Toro,
No.
his final competitor, 66.6. It was the number of the beast, or should I say, the goat? Yeah, 66.6. I remember seeing that and being like, oh yeah, that makes sense. The devil has come to town. He will steal all your souls.
He'll steal all your podiums, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Look,
Not surprised to see Healy drop Skelmos. Um,
no, I honestly really gave Healy a better chance. I mean, this is, and he was another one that at the end that kind of came across the line and didn't look as gassed as everybody else. But man, like this, if Pagachar isn't in this race, I think Ben Healy could have absolutely won it.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Well, Pogacar, the spoiler for stuff like this, it's like it's the same with Lorena Vivas. I mean, you
Hmm.
just think of
Hmm.
all of the exciting finishes that we didn't get to watch, because of these guys, or when we talk about like, in any other universe, if Pogacar doesn't exist, like Jonas Vingegaard is going down as like one of, the top two or three Grand Tour riders in history,
Yeah.
but
Well,
unfortunately there was the Pog factor that kept him from his
well,
place in
and
history.
and Lantern Rouge made a good comment on it is that you're watching the Tiger Woods or the Michael Jordan or the Kobe Bryant or the Babe Ruth of cycling right now. I mean, like you are watching history unfold on a weekly basis, and you can very easily get wrapped up in the I don't care of this. It's not it's not exciting. However, you're going to be able to look back and say, oh yeah, I saw that, I saw that, I saw that, I saw that. We're living through history right now in cycling, and it is interesting to watch him win.
That is what I was on about in the intro, at the end of the intro, when I said we'll have to content ourselves with the witnesses to history role, because unfortunately Pod keeps putting us in the role of watchers of boring races.
This is true.
Which, at the end of the day, I mean, it was fireworks are great, but when it's in service of second place, it just kind of sucks.
It does. It does.
Like it's, Remco gave us a lot to chew over and a lot of entertainment today, but not the best kind of entertainment that we want out of a World Championships bike race. And I heard some people talking about like UCI, like can't you do something? Can you find us an MSR style parkour for this, so that Pogačar is not just, it's like you keep creating these parkours where Pog is just going to incinerate everybody.
Well, and they said that it's going to be another like 4 or 5 years till you get another Sprinters World Championship.
Yeah,
it's like,
why can't we alternate? Let's go back.
Thank you. That was you literally just made the point that I wanted to make, is why isn't that an every other year thing?
Absolutely.
Like, why not? Like, because no offense, if you go on a 5 or 6 year cycle, there's a world champion that didn't get to wear a rainbow jersey in there because you didn't give. Because, like, to me,
there's a guy who's the best sprinter in the world for 5 years, and
like, how great would it be?
Gets a rainbow jersey.
How great would it be? A year from now, if, because it's not going to be Montreal. All right, it's not.
Well, and apparently it's going to one of the Gulf countries here in a couple of years too.
But how great would it be to see Merlier, Philipsen, Milan,
Coy,
Brennan, Coy, all competing for a world championship?
Absolutely awesome. It would be incredible.
Give me that.
And it would be incredible seeing the rainbow jersey being involved in bunch sprints for a year.
Yes.
That'd be cool as hell. I'd love to see it. So it's just like, why do you keep denying it to the sprinters?
Well, and I feel like it just
like
I don't know. It's annoying to me because it should be a one-off, one-on, one-off, one-on, and then you don't get the like multi-year like same guy. Like, okay, so now let's flip the coin and go over to the women's side and talk about because we have a unique winner on the women's side, because this course and the tactics needed to win completely negated most of your favorites out of this race. All right. And it comes down to an unlikely group of women competing for this world championship. And it couldn't have been more interesting.
Agreed. I mean, I don't agree that like the particulars of the course and world championship bike road racing is what eliminated the favorites group. The favorites group didn't chase soon enough. That's what eliminated the favorites group.
Well, that's why I said tactics. I said the parkour and the tactics.
Yeah. But I would agree that this race is a showcase for all of the things that the idiosyncrasies of world championship road racing highlight, showcase. I mean, it's the fact that they don't race with radios like plays a significant factor in your strategizing and in your execution. You know what I mean? I mean, one need look no further than the Olympics of 2020, which took place in 2021 because of COVID in Tokyo, where Anna Kiesenhofer of Austria, use those unique factors of this race, the fact that there are no race radios and that she is an unknown rider, you know, she's not going to get a chance to go to, the women's Tour de France and be her team's leader because she's not her team's leader of a team that would go to the women's Tour de France. But she is a strong Austrian cyclist who can somehow work the Austrian system to get herself to the Olympics. And then she can say, okay, nobody knows who I am and nobody's going to have race radios. And if I can sneak away off the front, they might just forget about me. And she did it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't happen in any other race. And so you take this race right here, and once again, you have a rider who is not a threat to anybody, who is going to exploit the idiosyncrasies of this format, no radios, national teams instead of trade teams, et cetera, to her advantage. And as you said, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So, why don't you recap us a little bit?
So yeah, we had 11 laps of the very familiar circuit, which is a thing I would just wanted to mention. It's kind of cool how in a situation like this, this country sets up this course, and then everybody races over this course. You know what I mean? Like the time trials go over the course. There's slight changes and variations and stuff like that, but for the most part, over the course of the week, it becomes a very familiar parkour for us. And so we know the ins and the outs, and we can speculate about, oh, how's this person going to handle it, and how's this person. So I love that about it. So they're doing 11 laps of the circuit. You had a lot of activity early on from Blanka Vosh, who was basically the first real attack was this woman, Karina Schrempf, I think the German, but Blanka Vosh chased her down. You had Sharon Van Anrooy and Julie Van de Velde from Belgium and the Netherlands, respectively, bridged up to Vosh. Van Anrooy dropped them all. Then you had the likes of Benito from Spain, Noemi Rug of Switzerland coming in, putting in attacks. They get a gap. Blanka Vosh gets back on with Lichty. She was the woman from I think Switzerland that was part of the TTT. And then finally, this is where you finally start to see eventual winner Magdalena Valieres of Canada, who bridges up there with Malcati, Mavi Garcia, Niedermeyer from Germany, Rihanna Marcus, and Niamh Fisher-Black. They get a gap up to 1:45, 22 kilometers ago. Mavi Garcia makes a move, and the only people to respond are Valieres, Fisher-Black, and then Niedermeyer and Marcus bridge up. Final lap.
Well, and at one point, Marcus is like an idiot, is not wanting to work with those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if, maybe she didn't have the legs. I don't know what it was, but it didn't make sense to me that she wouldn't work with this group. It seemed odd.
And if you think about this, they get the gap up to like 1:45. We're in the second to last lap. All right. And the gap is going up at 1:45. And the favorites are sitting back, not doing anything. And in fact, they don't. The first one of them to respond is only after they're onto the final lap, and that's Marlon Roysa. She goes out on her own. Finally, the first one to come to her senses and be like, "We got to do something about this." She goes out solo and gets her gap down to about 40 seconds, and then finally, some of the other main favorites start bridging up to get to her. Elise Chabet, Kim LaCour, 7 kilometers to go. Chabet attacks. She gets a group on the favorites, but she's still in pursuit because they still haven't brought back the 3 leaders.
Right. Well,
and now we're at 7K to go.
And Niamh Fisher-Black and Valieres and Garcia, they all want to work.
Absolutely.
they're all like they're very cohesive in that group, and
those are three riders that came into this race.
It isn't
with
until
no
that
expectation.
final climb where they finally kind of blew apart, and
As it should have been. They played it. They all three of them played that perfectly
yeah,
by working together.
and
You know, but
Magdalene Valieres ends up just being the strongest out of the three. I really thought that we would see Fisher Black in the rainbow bands. I was pulling for her so hard. Like, I was like ready to see someone from New Zealand win the world championship.
oh, it'd be crazy. It would have been crazy. It would have been crazy to see Mavi Garcia
I
do it
love that
too.
all
I mean,
black uniform too.
yeah,
That all black
yeah.
uni. Like,
Yeah, well, the Spain one was really cool too, with the big like
with like the
ESP on the
burst.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spain, but and we've seen this little resurrection of Mavi Garcia, like late career resurrection, which she had the stage win. Yeah, didn't she win stage 2 of the tour or something like that, I think. So that would have been super exciting as well. But instead, out of nowhere, we get Magdalena Valieres, a Canadian, on EF Oatly, by the way,
Yes, I
which
know.
I'm
I know.
loving. I am so beside
Okay.
myself that EF is going to have the rainbow in and amongst them.
So before we run out of time, I want to mention, okay, about the after on the race. If you didn't see Allison Jackson's interview, go back and watch it. It's amazing. All right. But her electricity on the side or at the end of the race with her team. All right. I don't care if it's with
AJ's?
EF, huh?
AJ's or
Yeah,
what
Allison Jackson's. Like, because her poor teammate is done. She is spent. She is like, she doesn't know what's she's almost in a completely like other world. Okay, and
as she should be.
And it's so cool to experience the excitement through her teammates, because as Allison Jackson said, she's like, this is so unique for Canadians to do something like this in this sport. And so the fact that the rainbow bands are going to be on a Canadian for the next year, all right, in the women's, pro peloton, by the way, who's on an American team, like, this is like, these are things that just don't happen for these teams. And so, like,
it's the
how
same
great is that?
It's on par, in my opinion, completely on par with AJ's Paris-Roubaix win.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
very
Like,
much, very much.
incredible.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible, man. You've got to love it. Just the fact that, like, we are going to be seeing EF team presentations all year long next year, and you're going to see the world champion jersey right in there with them.
I know, it's so
I'm
ridiculous.
like, this is amazing. So amazing. So, and all the pre-race favorites, they were 134 back. Demi Vollering won the sprint for 7th, 134 back, with Lacour, Roysa, Nea Wadoma, Lebu, ELB, and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot.
All non-factors.
Blew it. They just completely blew it. Like, the fact that every one of those guys could not manage better than 7th in this race is kind of mind-boggling.
Yep. But it was a wonderful, wonderful World Championship week in Kigali, Rwanda. It was, very, very, very awesome. And I look forward to next year in Montreal, hopefully, because it's not that far away. We can try to put that together.
Oh, we're going to put it together. That would be absolutely amazing.
And well, do you have anything else on these?
Yes, I have one more thing.
Sure.
Lulu's sad little attack with like 30 Ks into the race, and then he just promptly drops out.
I mean, come on. I mean, the dropouts in this race are crazy. It's like,
oh, there was only like 30 women that finished the race.
No, dude, like,
it's crazy.
The amount of like, okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm off.
Yeah, you think I'm putting myself through that 4 more times? No.
Well,
No.
I think that's the beauty of it being on a circuit, is that they can be able to just be like, yeah,
Right.
I'm out.
Right. Well, and they can even like, in one sense, there's a pit area. Like, there's a part of the gamesmanship of these races where it's like, I'm going to ride on this flat tire for another like 1.25 miles, because then I'll be at the pit.
Yeah.
And I don't have to actually stop.
Right.
I can just ride in. My bike will be ready for me, and I'll ride out.
Yep.
So very, very interesting. Yeah, a great week in Kigali.
All right. Well, let's take one more climb up the Côte de Kigali, Kigali, and we'll take a ride in the Broom Wagon when we get back. All right, we're back, and we're going to take another ride in the Broom Wagon. Matt, what do you got for us this week?
Oh man, this week my broom wagon is on two wheels because I am talking about the 2025 Moto America Super Bikes at New Jersey. This is a motorcycle race that I went to yesterday with big shout out to my buddy Tom McIntyre, who I went with. He treated me right across the board, and it was just awesome to be with him. His connection to motorcycle racing is that he used to race as a younger guy on like I don't know, I think like amateur level or whatever. But he had a buddy, and the buddy was, I guess, more into it because he stayed in the world, and now the buddy is all grown up like we are and has a 19-year-old daughter who races. Her name is Kayla Yakov. She's 18 years old. She's from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and she rides number 19 this year on the Ducati. They are part of the Rahal Ducati team. And this is the final race of the 2025 season. At this race, there were several categories that we were watching. So the big one is super bikes. These are like the biggest, fastest crotch rocket race bikes out there. She was racing super sport, which is like slightly smaller bikes. It's like the next level down. There was also the Talent Cup, which is like the juniors essentially. They have the stock 1000, which I don't think they raced yesterday. Those are like more stock bikes. They had something called the Twins Cup that I think that's younger guys as well. And then to close the race out, the King of the Baggers, which is the big old Harley Davidson bikes, huge bikes, equipped with saddlebags that they race out there. So he had a buddy that was part of this team, so this guy is still part of the team. He's actually the guy that's like in charge of the tires for the squad. That's like his main focus is the tires. But his kid is also one of the three racers that they had on the team there at this race, and she's a little badass. She's out there mixing it up with the boys. She's the only girl in the starting line of any competition there that day was Kayla, and she's hovering around fifth in terms of like her standings this year. And unfortunately, this whole weekend they were having problems with her bike, some kind of an electrical problem or something, and that forced her to pull out after about 5 laps. I think they were doing about 12 on her thing, or 12 or 14, something like that, in her race. And yeah, she pulled out. So it kind of sucked too, because for the first of those laps before she pulled out, she was mixing it up. Like she was kind of holding her position, and they race on these like yellow and white bikes with black. I was telling Tom, I was like, yeah, it's like our favorite cycling team, the Killer Bees, with the yellow and black. And so so you could pick out her bike very easily when it's going by, because oh my God, it is wild seeing how fast those bikes go by, especially like right down there by the finishing straight. Really cool racetrack. I'll tell you a little bit about the track. I think it's like a 2.25 mile course, 12 corners, and it's got a half-mile long straightaway. The finishing straightaway is a half-mile long, and they pretty much blow through that half mile in like 10 seconds, something like that. I mean, it's just crazy how fast these bikes go. And you've seen them on TV and YouTube 1,000 times, but until you're there in person, you just can't really understand how fast these people are going. It's mind-boggling. But the venue offers a lot of places to go and watch the race. So right there at the finish line, there is a 5-story building that houses all the press and everything, and it's not large. It's like it's probably only 80 feet long by 25 feet wide, but it's like 5 stories, and there's staircases going up the outside, and from every level of the staircase you can get views of the track. And it's one of the things about this they're very hands off with the fans that are there. You have a lot of freedom as a fan. You can kind of go almost everywhere except like right
Right
up
in
to
the
the like
pits, yeah.
right. Um, the riders are in and amongst the fans when they're going to and from their sort of backstage areas and stuff like that. And they're all of the teams like work areas. Um, they're kind of accessible to the public. Like you can come up and look in and check it out. So you can go to the top of the 6 story thing and you get the view straight down onto the finish line, which is really cool. So you can really see the entirety of the stretch of the open, the home stretch there, from the turn into it to the turn out of it. But then you can kind of move around the track. You're on the inside of it, but you can kind of move around. And there's a bridge that goes over the track that allows the car traffic into the venue. That anybody that's coming in is going to go across that bridge. Well, you can park anywhere you can find around that bridge and just like park the truck, walk over the bridge, and it's really cool because you can see them coming, going under, and you can see them leaving from the other side, and you can just kind of bounce back and forth and like catch all these really cool views. And then there's the way they design the track itself is kind of ingenious because really, if you can find any spot that's like 5, 6, 7 to 12 feet off the ground, be it a bleachers or anything, and you look around, like the back part of the course, it's on a rise, so it's very visible from like lots of different spaces. You see them coming up this rise, from the bridge spot. You can see them. The only thing you can't see is like turn one coming out of the start finish area. You can't see that, and like back behind like turns 1 and 2 and 3. But then they come up this rise, and from there it's like from the bridge, you see him come up the rise, you see him make the turn, you see him go across the back. You can see him, you lose him for just a second as they make this turn, but then you see him come through again, and then you see him go into this turn, you lose him for just a second, then you see him come right out of the turn, and then right into the left, and then they're coming right at you. So for basically the final 2/3 of the circuit, you can kind of have eyes on them the whole time. And it's really cool. Like you can, because of the colors, you know who's who, and you can see him making moves out there. And sometimes you're looking way out there and you see that red bike kind of sneak past that white bike, and you're like, oh, he just got ahead of him. Like it's exciting. Like even though you're just standing in a fixed position, especially up on top of the tower thing, I mean, you can see them all over the course, and it's like you can follow what's going on. And then especially when your buddy's got the race on his phone, playing on his phone as well. Although there was a significant lag,
Yeah.
but that was even kind of cool too, that there was a lag on the phone, because like something would happen in the race, like when Kayla left her race. She had come across the finish line sort of hovering right there in like 6th or 7th place, just like she had for the whole first couple of laps of the race. And then suddenly they come through again and there's like no Kayla. And we're like, oh God, what has happened to her? And he's got the phone. And like 30 seconds later, he's like, okay, there it is. There it is. And you see her like leave the course, obviously having a problem with your bike. And you're like, oh, thank God she didn't crash.
Yeah, because it's got the dump on it. There's going to be a delay because of the broadcast.
Yeah, yeah, but nonetheless, you could still kind of keep up that way with it, and you get cool replays, and a lot of times you got to watch the replay of something you had just watched live right in front of you, which
now,
is which is
now in
really
close
kind
up
of
high
cool.
definition.
Yes, exactly. I had that very thought as I was watching it at one point. I mean, so that part of it was pretty cool. I gotta say, like a lot of people crash in these motorcycle races, and most of them are like no big deal. It's like they take a turn wide and they go flying through the grass and they fucking roll. The leathers that they're wearing are absolutely insane. I mean, they are warriors. Like when you look at those things up close, and they are all like bruised up, and not bruised up, but like the leathers themselves are all scuffed and ground up. There was a whole booth like kind of close to where we parked, that was like two like 12 by 12 pop-up tents, that was like a sewing station. And there was like this woman sitting there basically the entire day. Every time we walked past, this woman was sitting there at an industrial sized sewing machine, like stitching up riders' leathers.
That's crazy.
Totally wild. Like the infrastructure is just nuts. I mean, when you see, all right, so that's another thing I gotta say. Like, so the racing was really cool, and it's set up so that it can be very exciting. It's not difficult to keep up with the racing, lap to lap, and it's very exciting. And especially having Tom there, kind of talking me through things.
Gave it an extra level.
It shrank my learning curve.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, so that part was cool, but being there as a fan, it's just a very, very cool experience. I got into this with you a little bit when we were talking before we got on air about just what a cool vibe it is there. So it is an absolute festival of vehicles, both gas and electric powered, because vehicles of every size, shape, and color imaginable are at this race. Mostly in the two-wheel variety, but of course there's plenty of cars and trucks and campers, and nobody is sweating you. If you want to jump in your truck and drive around from place to place, like, that's fine. I mean, don't run anybody over. You might be going real, real slow through certain parts because there's a ton of people out walking around, but like nobody is pressed about any kind of vehicle. So you got people out there on motorcycles, on little mini bikes, on little mini e-bikes, on dirt bikes, on street bikes, on, I saw a couple of really nice like road bikes out there, like cycling road bikes. I saw um, all manner of new and vintage mopeds, scooters, Vespas. I mean, absolutely everything. Those little like one wheel skateboard looking things that have like a big fat wheel. I mean,
Hmm.
everything you can possibly imagine that you can ride around on in this day and age. You saw them out there in spades. Saw some really, really cool vintage scooters, like this one Honda. It was like, what was it called? The Honda something or other, this little yellow scooter. It was so cool. Like it's a little teardrop gas tank, and bunch of rust spots on it. And this thing,
I'm surprised you didn't see a Moto Compacto.
is it a little square looking thing?
Yes, little white, like a little white square with like
Saw
very
multiple.
small wheels.
Yeah, saw multiples,
So that's
including the one that Kayla has for herself that's got a number 19 on it.
that's Honda makes those. It's like Honda's new little like briefcase electric scooter. It's called a
Yes.
Moto Compacto, and it will literally box down into like a briefcase size.
I will send you a picture of Kayla's right now. I have another picture I was going to send you anyway, so let me put that picture in for you. So, yeah, so really, really cool seeing all these bikes out there. I mean, and not only that, but like you also get to see some of the most amazing, like high-end racing motorcycles that you'll ever see in your life. These things are insane. They are nasty. Um, but I really just love that whole two-wheel vibe out there, and everybody was so friendly. And as I was telling you earlier, there is a big component there that has only come on in recent years in this whole racing scene, because they added the bagger category. Um, of like there's like crossover with the world of like Harley Davidson, like biker,
Biker
that
culture.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now most of them are the guys that are riding the big cruisers, the big two bags in the back and the giant console and
Right. They're not
everything.
riding the street glides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially the analog bikes to the ones that are racing in the last event of the day. But um, but there was a few hogs out there, some ape hangers out there and stuff like that, and just everybody is as welcome as can be out there. I mean, there's just something cool about seeing a guy standing next to his like ape hanger Harley Davidson having a conversation with like some kid that's like cruising around on some funky little e-bike. You know what I mean? And they're just having a chat. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
like I love
cool.
this. I love being a part of this vibe, and I would love to go back with the kids sometime and work out something, be on some kind of motorcycle, scooters, e-bikes, anything we can get to just roll around on there because it just looks so fun. And on a bike, it's just so easy to go from place to place and watch the race and be able to see anything. The schedule is kind of perfect too because you get a good like 30-40 minutes in between each one of the races, so you can just like roll back to the truck, grab something to drink, reset the batteries, or go and grab a bite to eat. We had access to the Ray Hall Ducati, like to their team area, um, where all of like their friends and family would hang out, all their VIP guests or whatever. His buddy got us access to there. So like halfway through the afternoon, we rolled in there. They had a whole spread of food. We got some brisket, we got some beans, some corn, salad, loaded up. Grabbed some desserts. You know, went to the craft services table. You know, grabbed some snacks and cupcakes and Slim Jims and stuff like that. So that was very nice.
Yeah,
Like not
awesome.
having to go and drop like $22 on a cheesesteak at the vending. Um, so super cool.
Sounds like a really
Here
good time.
it was awesome. Here I just sent you these two pictures. One of the Honda. What'd you say it was called?
It's a Moto Compacto.
Yeah, the Moto Compacto.
Yeah, that is
There's
exactly what that is.
Yeah, that's Kayla's Moto Compacto. And there's me in that other picture with the winner of Kayla's division, the super sport level. That is Matthew Schultz of Germany, who was the winner of that race.
That's
and
awesome.
he actually clinched his season title with that victory. So
Very cool.
got myself a nice little selfie. Yeah, go see a motorcycle race, man. This is I couldn't recommend it anymore. It was so incredibly cool just to be out there. The vibes were great. Bring sunscreen, bring water,
I'm sure.
bring a you know a good attitude and settle in and watch it and stay around for the baggers at the end because man, it is really cool. And the sound,
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm definitely going to YouTube some of those.
yeah, I had no idea either. I had no idea either. Actually, the guy that won the Superbike, Cameron Bobier, the French guy, also won baggers.
Interesting.
The baggers race, yeah. So some of these guys do different categories.
Multiple disciplines.
Yeah, and the podium area was kind of cool. And if you were going up one of the staircases up onto the tower, from each level up the staircase, you could sit there and lean out and look down onto the podium ceremony. So very cool. There's a slot in front of where the guys stand on the podiums. There's a slot where they pull each winning bike in, so the bikes are sitting there in front. Yeah, it was super cool. And they had people, you know, they were getting interviews and stuff. But then they'd come straight off the podium and they'd be walking back to their like little team concierge area, and they're just like right there hanging out with you. Here comes
cool.
Kayla. Let's have a chat with her. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So, all right, what do you got?
Well, this weekend was the annual Ryder Cup, and
I'm so glad you have this.
Did you follow any of it at all?
I know nothing.
Okay,
Enlighten me.
I would definitely recommend go back and at a minimum watch the extended highlights from Sunday. Very very good. Which is the head-to-head match play. All right.
Right.
So
Bethpage Black.
yes.
One of the great names of a golf course ever. Bethpage Black.
Well, so the black, so, you know, for anybody that's not a golf fan, the black course at Bethpage is a, you know, U.S. Open regular. All right.
Yeah.
It's one of the longest courses that you will see in the U.S. Open. It is an extremely difficult course, hence the black moniker on it. All right.
Right. It's like the black diamond slope at the ski lodge.
This is an extremely hard course, and it's a very tight course. So going into Sunday, Victor Hovland can't start. He's sick. Something's wrong with him. And so it's rare, but it does happen. So what happens in the instance when one half of a pairing can't go off is the other team has to put like names in an envelope of who is like not gonna go, and then they like, you know, redo the pairings or whatever. So ends up that, you know, they shed a rider or shed a player, and they each get a half a point. All right.
They should be able to pick. I don't think it should be a random draw.
Well, they get to pick the names that go into the drawing. So, but then it's randomized after that. So I don't think they have to put the whole team in. It's like it was unclear, and I couldn't really find much on that when I was doing my fast research.
I think the fairest thing would be to drop the biggest like scrub on the team, like whoever the last guy, the guy that squeaked in.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, so obviously you go in and the U.S. is down 12-5 going into Sunday. All right, and I won't bury the lead. They don't end up winning, but they end up.
We'll contextualize this for people who don't know, like what the Ryder Cup is, what the competition is. Here.
So it's Europe versus the U.S. All right, and different
match play.
Yeah, different styles of play throughout the week, ending in essentially head-to-head showdowns between the best golfers in the world currently, straight up, going in match play. All right,
it's like one-on-one where one guy is trying to beat another guy, and if he beats him, he gets a point.
Yes,
he gets a single point towards the team's total.
Correct. So they're like I said, going into Sunday, they're down 12-5, which is pretty significant. And through really like the first 9 holes for pretty much everybody on the U.S. side, it is not looking good. And then all of a sudden,
who are some of the names playing on U.S.?
DeChambeau, Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Cam Young, this was his first year.
Did I see Justin Rose?
Justin Rose is on. Rory McIlroy's on Europe. Who else? Jean Rahm was there. Victor Hovland. I'm trying to think who else.
Okay.
So but those are your biggest names. I mean, your world number 1 and number 2 are going head to head with each other, Scheffler and McIlroy.
Yeah.
So it kind of the U.S. kind of kicks off this would-be comeback with Justin Thomas holes out on hole 6. And I mean, it's one of the best flyer off of the fairway.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I can't wait to see his highlights already.
So and then after that, so DeChambeau has a terrible front 9, all right, and ends up peeling off 4 birdies in a row, all right,
on the back.
On the back? Mix of the front and back. So, I mean, it's going in, it was a bit more on the back side of it.
So, like 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, something like
that. Birdie, right?
Birdie. Rory versus Scheffler is epic. I mean, they are going shot for shot. Like, I mean, it is sick. All right.
Today's like our mixed format show. First, we're talking about like the team time trial, and now it's like the Ryder Cup match play. And,
right.
Yeah.
So they're going back and forth. Cam Young nails a huge putt to win his match. All right, so this is his first year on the Ryder Cup team. Justin Thomas then does the same. So, like all of a sudden, they're starting to get some. The U.S. is starting to get some momentum. Bryson came back from 5 down to get a tie. All right, so he was 5 down through the front, ends up tying on the through the back. Scheffler takes out Rory McIlroy.
And so do they? If they tie, then they tie. It's like they each get a half point.
They each get a half point. Correct.
Yeah. There's no like sudden death for each. Any
correct.
Of these things,
right? Correct. And then the sad part is Henley ends up choking to Lowry, but the U.S. ended up bouncing back from down 12-5. All right, to 15-13. All right, but they obviously
they won 8-3 today.
Yes.
On Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yes, but they end up overall down. That Lowry ends up clinching it with I think 2. There was still two. Colin Morikawa was out and somebody else.
Was Henley gutted?
Yeah, I mean it was tough. It was tough to watch, but Lowry's celebration, and Lowry's an Irishman, and his celebration, I mean, he just goes absolutely ape shit. I mean, it's really cool.
I am all over those highlights. I want to see that. That's going to be good.
But yeah, the Ryder Cup, as always, doesn't fail to entertain. Europe does retain their win, and their recent, not so recent, but overall dominance in the last few years. So
They have been dominating, even though there's plenty of good American guys out there, including the world number one. So go figure.
well, yeah,
I get they're just deeper.
yeah. And it's tough if you get behind the way that they did. It's really really tough. I mean, obviously, in the head-to-head matches on Sunday, the U.S. did very very well, and had they done a little bit better, prior to Sunday, they probably could have pulled it out and won. And but it was very interesting. I wish I had been able to get a little bit more time with it live. I got a lot of it on secondary watching, but it was very very entertaining, and some absolutely incredible golf was played.
I have a couple of thoughts. Okay,
Sure.
so let's do the same thought experiment, since this is our alternative formats extravaganza. Let's do the same thought experiment that we did with the TTT, like the mixed relay team time trial. How can we what is the match play of cycling, where you've got head on head, because we've got that thing coming up that I keep forgetting about, the skins game, the skins game of
race. Yeah.
Right. So what is the match play of cycling? Let's invent a format where you've got, like 12 rider teams, but they go out like 2-on-2. Like how do we do this? Is it on a circuit? Is it over a straight line course? Like
a time trial, has to be in the mix. Some sort of, maybe you do
not necessarily.
Maybe
is there such a thing as 2-on-2 cycling? Like road racing?
Well, no. I'm going to say
or one-on-one road racing.
You have a time trial. Okay, you do maybe like a shorter time trial, and then like a harder, longer time trial. Maybe the longer one's flatter, the shorter one's a little steeper, something like that, to kind of level things out a little bit. To give it, to give, because obviously now if you're going to do something like this, you gotta play the the calculations game of, okay, we're strong here, we're going to pull here, we're going to do this. All right. But then you could do almost like a heads up time trial for like the Sunday race, where you send them off 2 at a time. All right. You send off 2 riders going off together at the same time. And it's just a head to head. Whoever wins gets 1 point. Whoever comes in second doesn't get a point, and if somehow it's a tie, they split. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
there's something there.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. All right, it's 9-on-9, right? That's how the Ryder Cup works, right?
Yes.
So it's an uneven number, so that you don't get a tie. So you do 9v9, right? And it's basically a one-on-one time trial each time. You just start 2 guys at a time. They can pick what kind of bike they want to ride depending on the course, but you make it the kind of course that 2 completely fresh riders will somehow be competitive on over like a fairly short distance. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, call it like 10 kilometers long. It's not long. So one factor that you can kind of rule out is like the endurance factor. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's only 5 kilometers long, right? So you got these 2 guys going one-on-one, but maybe there's like a really steep climb, but then it flattens out. So you could put a Pogačar and a Philipsen against each other, and Pogačar's going to be at the top of that climb much faster. But then when you get on the other side, Philipsen's a lot heavier and faster on the flat, and he'll be able to get down there and get across the, you know what I mean?
Put a wicked descent in too.
Right, exactly. So you do some kind of course so that it's like one-on-ones, and then 9 guys and 9 guys. It's UAE versus Lidl Trek. They each come with their 9 guys. The first 2 go off. Who gets the point? Second 2 go off. All right, it's 1-0. UAE. Second 2 go off. All right, they've tied it up.
So this is now this. All right, hold on. UCI. Someone please send this to the UCI. hold on. So that makes it very interesting because you could conceivably, to get points, mismatch your riders.
Right.
Be like, well, they've got to send this guy. He's not going to perform on this, but we can take a point there rather than put him head to head against a rider that he's going to be very equal with. Maybe you end up putting, it's like, oh, well,
we're going to make them waste Pogačar against, we're going to make them waste Pogačar against,
Yeah. You just give up the
scrub.
You give up the point to Pogačar because he's probably going to lose it anyway. So don't burn a good match on Pogačar.
Right.
Oh man, this could be very interesting.
Yeah. So how you seed the riders? There's got to be a lot of thought that goes into that, because how do you make it so that teams can strategize? Like there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and like how are those determined? Like, or is it more fair for like their UCI ranking to determine it?
Go off the UCI rankings. Go off the points rankings.
So that there can't be any gamesmanship in that thing. Right. So that like Tadej Pogačar doesn't always have to sacrifice his ride against some scrub because, the margins are to be made at the 4, 5, and 6 level.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a way to make it fair. You got to come up with the format, then you got to figure out how to make it fair.
Right.
But that would be very interesting.
And do you get riders who start to specialize in this discipline?
Riders who are only good over 5K.
Guys who are like, I don't care what the terrain is, you cannot beat me over 6.5Ks.
Oh, I bet on Strava there's probably a bunch of people like that. So
very it's fun to think about.
All right.
I wanted to say one more thing speaking about crossover between sports. I meant to mention this earlier when I was talking about the motorcycle race. One thing that was really cool about being there with Tom and it being me and Tom is that there is some crossover from motorcycle racing to bicycle racing, in terms of the jargon, and
really?
and in terms of some of the strategy, because drafting is a thing in pro bike racing, and pro bike racing, or pro motorcycle racing, I should say. And motorcycle racing has things like podiums and
teams,
corners and uphills and downhills and stuff. Like, it's bike racing. You know what I'm saying? There's
just
motors
a lot
attached.
faster.
It's a different world, but it's still bike racing. And so for that reason, as we were talking, and especially during the races, watching the guys go around the course and, oh, look, he's bridging that gap. Is he going to make it up to the leaders, the front group? And look at those guys. Oh, he's been away for the entire time. Like all of that kind of stuff is just exactly like the same stuff that you talk about in bike racing.
So you were instantly like locked in on like, oh, I know exactly what you mean when you say this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way less of a learning curve.
Sure. I'm like, Kayla needs to bridge up to, her Peterson, and those two need to work together to get to the front, and it's literally the same exact thing that we're talking about when we're watching bike races. Like, those two need to work together. So very cool stuff.
All right. And that's all for this week. Join us next week for full coverage of the 2025 European Championships and much, much more. Until then, for my brother Matt, I'm Justin Harper. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us again soon for another ride on the team bus. Ale.
The Team Bus is a production of Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe, smash that button, leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!